You have a beautiful bracelet?
Yeah.
Is it matching Mamu's? Say cheese. Say hi.
Hi.
Do you have a bracelet?
Yeah.
Do you want to put it on?
No.
No. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Annabelle wanted to be in the beginning of the video. What'd you have for breakfast? So now that Annabelle is doing her own thing and playing downstairs, I can finally film this video. I'm super excited for today's video because it's actually a collaboration with Emily Norris here on YouTube. If you guys live under a rock, you may not know, but I'm sure you do. She is basically an OG YouTube mom. She has 3 boys, Caleb, Frazier, and her smallest one is Jackson. He's almost the same age as Annabelle. I believe he's 24 or 25 months, and my little one is 22 months. So we have a lot in common in that way. But if you guys don't know who she is, she's basically a motherhood and parenting lifestyle YouTuber. She's really uplifting and she gives like a very positive approach to motherhood and parenting. Make sure to check out her 10 things that you need to know before you have a baby video. I will link her channel below and her video where you guys can watch it. I've been following her channel for probably like a year and a half now, and she just inspires me in so many different ways. She is just such a go-getter. She has so much motivation towards her channel. She puts a lot of effort into her videos. And yeah, I mean, if I could be like 1% of Emily Norris, my life would be complete. You guys will see if you watch her videos. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Hayley Paige and I've been making YouTube videos for the last couple years. I've actually documented pretty much all of the most pivotal and like, I guess just eventful things in my life. So I started vlogging or videoing my life when I graduated college, then I got married. I have a whole wedding series on my channel, and then I got pregnant unexpectedly with my firstborn, Annabelle, who is almost 2, as you guys saw. And I basically vlogged the entire birth, our batshit crazy breastfeeding experience that was the entire first year of her life and into her second. And now I'm actually expecting my second little girl who's due in November. So I think I have like 7 weeks left. It's crazy. I've also documented our journey from moving from Los Angeles, California, all the way to Charleston, and we're moving back. I know it sounds like we have a lot going on, which we do. And I also kind of talk here and there about how my husband and I run an Amazon business selling mom and baby items. So yeah, that is a little bit about me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are new, and like this video if you like it. And let's get on to the tips. The very first thing that you need to know before having a baby is that everyone's experience is so different, and you really cannot rely on one person's perspective and think it's gonna be your same experience. So for instance, before I had my firstborn, I watched a ton of videos on YouTube. If you guys are expecting your firstborn, if you're watching this video, you've probably already binge watched several birth videos and like postpartum videos about breastfeeding, and you honestly just get an influx of information poured into your brain about what you might think postpartum life is like and what you might think having the baby is like, but it is so much different when you experience it yourself. And the first time you see or hold your baby, it's not always the same for every person. I had a C-section that was unplanned. So I was on a lot of drugs. I had a really ferocious epidural going through my system. So when my firstborn came out and I held her in my arms, I honestly was very stoic. I had like no emotion at all. My husband was like, what is going on? Why aren't you crying? But I think that might be a combination of the fact that I had an emergency C-section, or that maybe I'm not a crier like that. I don't know. But after seeing so many birth vlogs of women like bawling their eyes out, I thought, this is very strange. Like, why am I feeling like this? And I just want to let you guys know that that might be normal for you, and everyone's experience is totally different. So try not to beat yourself up about it. The second thing that you need to know before having a baby is that the first, I would say, 4 days particularly after you have your baby, you will cry a lot. This happened to me with my first. I didn't know how crazy the hormones would affect my body and my mental state, so I found myself crying about literally anything. When she would cry, I would start bawling. I was like constantly bickering at my husband because he would be changing her diaper and she would cry, which would make me cry, so I blame it on him. It's a very intense time, especially with your firstborn. So just like giving yourself grace and knowing that you are gonna cry a lot, it's gonna be normal, and it is your hormones just regulating. I didn't know that. I thought something was seriously wrong with me, and I don't know why. I just never understood that the hormones kind of like come and go when you're pregnant and when you're in your postpartum period. So definitely keep that in mind and know that it will pass. The next thing that you need to know before you have your baby is that breastfeeding should not hurt. After hearing so many stories on YouTube and people's just experiences in my life, I always expected to have like cracked, bleeding, dry nipples and that it was normal and that's just like what everybody goes through. But honestly, if you have a correct latch and if the baby is in the correct positioning, it should not hurt at all. You should feel like a letdown sensation and obviously a little bit of like friction on your nipple, but it's not supposed to feel like a razor knife going through your nipple, which has happened to me pretty much the first like entire month because my latch was totally wrong with my firstborn and she also had a lip and a tongue tie. The next thing, which I always get asked, intimacy with your husband is just another level. I have a private Facebook group, which I will link below, and every time I log into that Facebook group, there's always a mom that is newly postpartum concerned about the intimacy between her and her husband, whether she is 1 month postpartum, 6 months postpartum, or even 12 months postpartum. Don't expect the intimacy to go back to what it was before you had a child because your body is going through so many different changes. I mean, you don't even have a period and your hormones are regulating. It is a crazy time. Not to mention after you have a baby, there's a lot of bleeding and a lot of crazy stuff that happens down there. So yeah, it definitely goes back to normal. It does take time. And I think that a lot of women expect to just bounce back right away with the intimacy thing, but it might take a couple months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. I think it's important to just explain to your husband, give yourself some time and know that it will come back to what it was eventually. The other thing that you need to know before having a baby is that you don't necessarily need to spend seriously thousands of dollars, because that's what people are spending nowadays on clothes and gadgets and stuff and nursery items. When I had my firstborn, we were balling on a budget. I bought a $150 crib, which granted we co-sleep, so we didn't even use it. But the only thing I really spent money on was her stroller because I knew I'd be using it for at least 2 or 3 years before I had my second. Little did I know it'd be only 2 years. I didn't even buy myself a baby swing. People thought I was crazy because I was like the only mom on YouTube who did not have a baby swing, which I'll be getting one this time. But at the time, I just thought I don't really need it. Like, what's the point of spending $200 to $400 on an expensive swing when I could just, I don't know, baby wear her? So there's a lot of cost-cutting tips and tricks that you can do when you have a new baby. You really only need onesies, formula if you're formula feeding, or the boob, which is free obviously, and you don't really need much else besides diapers and wipes. Babies just need their mom, and that is pretty much it. So they're actually not as expensive as people would think. The next thing that you need to know before you have your first baby is that friends that don't have children already might become a little bit distant, and the ones that already have children you might get a little closer to. I was the first out of all of my friends to have a baby, so I felt pretty isolated because none of my friends knew what I was going through as far as like breastfeeding or postpartum care or like my mental state. The shift that you experience from going from no children to 1 children is like the biggest life-altering thing that's ever happened to me. So anyone that hasn't gone through it before really cannot understand, and it's not their fault necessarily. And I hate to say it, but the only way they're ever gonna know is when they have a child of their own. So just be patient with them. If they don't understand, if they say the wrong thing, if they're too distant, or if they're coming on too strong, they have no idea what you're going through. So yeah, just try and work with your friends and family because everyone is at a different stage of their life. The other thing that you need to know before you have a baby, and this is me particularly, but I thought I would want a ton of different visitors coming in and out of my house after I had my firstborn. It turned out that I honestly did not want to hardly see anybody. I mean, a lot of friends and family wanted to come over and hang out all day, but I was just getting the hang of breastfeeding. Like I said before, my nipples were sore and bleeding because I had no idea what I was doing. It's very emotional. Your hormones are raging. You are honestly topless if you are breastfeeding pretty much 24/7 because there's just no point. The baby is like cluster feeding all the time throughout the night. You're exhausted. It is hard to explain to friends and family who haven't had children, who aren't mothers, or some people are just non-empathetic at all, but try and best explain to them that it's a really emotional time for you and that you're gonna get over this period and they'll be able to hang out whenever. But right now, I would say for at least the first like 3 weeks to a month. It's really important to just establish like a breastfeeding relationship, but not even that. If you're formula feeding, it doesn't matter. You just need to establish like a good routine for yourself, a good routine for like your mental state, and figuring things out now that you're a family of 3. So yeah, definitely take that into account. And something that you need to know before you have a baby is that if you do work from home or work for yourself, you can do that up to a point. I hear a lot of women in my life that either have a baby or they are pregnant, and they say, oh, it's the best situation because I can work from home and still be a stay-at-home mom. Well, you can definitely do that up to a point. I'm pretty sure there is no magical child that will let you work from home until they are 10 years old. But I would say that you can do a lot of things up until the baby is probably the crawling stage. So whenever your baby starts crawling, it gets a lot harder. Even if you put them in a playpen, they will scream for you because they want their mom, like physically touching them all the time. Not to mention when they get their own attitude and when they're toddlers. I would say 15 to 18-month-old age, it gets so much harder to do anything for yourself. You definitely cannot look at your computer or your phone without them wanting it. That's definitely something that has been a brutal awakening for me, and knowing that, you know, you might need help with that stage of your life. It is okay, and that is something to be expected. The next thing is having a baby seriously changes your body. I don't think I ever looked up pictures of women's body like right after they gave birth when I had my firstborn. I don't even know if Instagram was so big to where women were posting like pictures right after. They're doing that a lot lately, but I don't know. Props to them because I don't think I could do it. But I just wasn't aware of like the crazy dramatic change that your body goes through, especially the first week to 2 weeks after you have your baby. When I had my firstborn, I didn't even want to look at myself without clothes on for the first, I think, like 6 days. I had a C-section. I was so scared of what it looked like. I didn't even want to look at the incision. I waited until I was at the doctor's office to where I was forced to look at it, because if you don't educate yourself on these kinds of things and how your body might change the first month after you have your baby, it's a serious shock to your mental state when you look at yourself and think, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna look the same again. But I promise you, you will look the same. Your body will bounce back. It's an incredible, incredible thing. And yeah, that is just something that you have to mentally prepare yourself for. Really need to ask for help when it comes to right after postpartum, even like, not even right after, but the first entire year of you having a baby. You really need to ask for help from your friends and your family. I tried to do pretty much everything on my own. I didn't ask for a single thing, I don't think. I seriously just now took my first date night with my husband. I know, cringe. I know people are shaking their heads at me, but I just have a problem with asking people for help. And I think that's probably just because, I don't know, I haven't been around a lot of other moms with babies and I just didn't know what to expect. But for your own mental state, you need to go out with your husband. I know I'm like the worst advocate for this. I'm trying to be better, but you need to have one-on-one time with your husband. It's really important, and it is really hard to do when the baby is super small, but just recognizing that that needs to be a priority in your marriage and in your relationships is really invaluable to the whole family structure. If you and your husband are happy, the baby will be happier. So making that a big priority is important. The last thing that I didn't know before I had a baby, and something that I think you guys should know, is that babies take a serious toll on your body, especially the first year. I had intense back problems. My legs were super sore all the time because I was either rocking her to sleep or hunched over breastfeeding. I had incorrect posture. So it's really important, especially the first year, to really look after yourself and make sure you're eating the proper foods, having a healthy diet, walking at least once a day, getting outside with your baby. You're just sitting around all day with your baby. Your body really feels it, and you just start to like, I don't know, everything caves in and you become really sore and it's just not good. So make sure that you're mobile the first year. That sounds like a no-brainer, but trust me, I'm pretty sure there were months the first year of when I had my firstborn where I was seriously sitting like 80% of the day just breastfeeding or sitting with the baby because they obviously can't walk yet. So taking care of yourself is really important. That is pretty much it for my 10 things you need to know before having a baby. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new and like this video if you like it. Also, check out Emily's channel and her video and subscribe to hers. All the links will be down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.